Hey guys, birthdays, getting older, long drives. Let's talk about it right after the intro. All right guys, hey, good afternoon, buenos dias, y hasta hepen. So, thanks for sticking around, guys. If this is your first time on my channel watching any one of my videos, welcome. My name is Oscar, and this is Oscar's Thoughts and Reviews. So we are here traveling. As you can see, we are on the way home. So today's topics are birthdays, getting older, long drives. All right, birthdays. As y'all know, if you watched my last video, last week was my wife and I's birthday week. So our birthdays are 2 days apart. I turned 57 and she turned 53. So 57. I was born in 1968. Wow, man. It's a while back. So born in 1968, I spent, the early years of my life in the 70s, bell bottoms and plaid shirts and corduroy pants and as a kid, I remember the pants that my mom used to buy me from Sears. They're called Toughskins. Y'all remember that? Toughskins? Wow, it's crazy. You tear up the knee, you go buy a patch, and you just glue it on. So yeah, those are some wild days. Then my teen years was in the 80s. Oh man, guys, you talk about the luckiest kids on the planet in the history of the world, and those of us that grew up in the 70s and especially the 80s. Woo, man, we had a good time. And I look back and I think, golly, man, we took so many things for granted. Me and especially one of my best friends, Albert Medellin. Boy, I can't tell you how many bands we saw. The bands that were in their starting prime, to see early Bon Jovi or early Whitesnake or Motley Crue. And, man, we got to see all these bands, Billy Idol. And, we got to see them all in their prime. And we didn't even know it. That's the thing that just blows my mind, is that we just thought, yeah, it's Bon Jovi, he's got good songs and these guys are awesome, and you didn't think twice, you just thought they're going to be young forever. We're going to be young forever. So it was a great time. Me and Albert, man, we had some really, really good times together. Rest in peace, Albert. Love you, bro. So the 80s, then the late 80s, I joined the Navy, went and did that, stationed up in Washington, D.C., got on a ship right there in Charleston, South Carolina. Desert Storm hit. So, did my early 90s, and then the rest of the 90s, pretty much just trying to make my way through life and different jobs and whatnot. And then the rest of my time was, from then until now was, here with the railroad. So, yeah, I could probably write a book of all the crazy things that we did, especially back in our high school days. Man, I'm so thankful that we didn't have Facebook or we didn't have phones or social media, nothing like that, because we did a lot of crazy stuff. But, back then, I'm not going to say it was it was a better time, I think. Because we didn't have all this technology back then, I thought it was super cool that, back then, if you wanted to talk trash about somebody, it was going to get back to them, and they were going to come confront you, and you either going to have to learn how to talk your way out of it, run faster than them, or throw hands. One of the three. So you kind of tended to think twice before opening your mouth. And in today's day, with everybody on a keyboard, if people don't like what you're wearing or what you look like or what you're saying or who you support in the last election, people want to start typing, and they can do that, thinking that there's going to be no repercussions. They can just type what they want. Most cases, that's true. Some cases, it's not. You can still get in trouble for that. So, that's a big difference to me from back then and now. But it is what it is, right? When I went to the Navy, those were also some very, very good times. I met some people that I still am in touch with. These are friends for life. This is family. They're not friends. They're family. So that was some very, very, very fun years for me. And being a young kid, I wasn't but 18, 19 years old. Here I am, and I hadn't been away from home too much. And I went from one day being around my friends and my girlfriend and all that at home, and then they put me on a bus, sent me up to San Antonio to MEPS. Next thing you know, I'm showing my butthole to some old man, and then I'm in boot camp in Orlando, Florida. I mean, all within 24 hours. I'm thinking, what the hell did I just do? I joined the Navy, I joined the military, so I go start my life, and my parents can't tell me what to do. Yeah, I'll show them. God dang, man, I couldn't even get off the bus and they were telling me what to do. I was thinking, geez, what the hell did I do? But we all had to do it together, right? Everybody in my company. And about 40 or 50 of us, I joined with my brother, Rudy Rodriguez. Rudy, if you're watching, love you, man. Hope everything's good. So me and him went to boot camp together, went into the fleet together. I went one way, he went the other. So great times. Wouldn't trade it for the world. And then railroad, and has the railroad changed between when I joined, 27 years ago to now? I'm not going to say the railroad has changed. It's changed in some ways. Some good, some not so good. I'll say the people changed. And, I think my problem this is kind of a good lead into getting older from the birthday. Getting older, one of, and I'm not gonna say it's a problem, but one of the things about me and people with my seniority who've been in the railroad this long is that you can't really tell me, a lie. You can't fool me into something. It's good, but then it's not good for some of these supervisors and managers that think they can just, tell you whatever and you're just going to go along with it. I'm not one of those guys, I mean, if they're cool, they're cool, right? They're running the show. But just because of that, you're not just going to talk down to me, or you're not going to tell me something that I know is not correct. And I'm not going to be ugly about it. I'm just going to let them know that, hey, man, I think we need to talk about this, because I don't think it's like the way you say. Some are very receptive, and most are not. Most, it's their way or the highway, and I think going forward, I really hope that some of the higher ups at headquarters one day will kind of re-examine how some of these supervisors and managers are getting hired and promoted. There's a lot of good old boy stuff going on, and I don't really see how some of the, I know, I got an idea how some of these guys are getting promoted and hired, but that's for somebody else. I'm just kind of saying what I'm seeing. And, because at the very onset of when I joined the railroad, or when I got hired, man, we had some really, really good leadership. Guys that were tough, but they weren't all full of themselves. They knew how to talk to people. And I really liked that. So, another thing about the railroad that's changed is that back then they would tell you, hey, come Monday morning, show up at the yard in Kansas City, Missouri. Like, what? There was no phones, man. There was no GPS. There was no nothing. Back then it was all about you had a paper map, or an atlas. I think I still got one in the truck somewhere, just in case. So we'd have to just ask questions from the older guys, like, hey man, what cross streets are those? How do I get there? And they would kind of give you an idea, where it's at, and you would kind of make your way over there. So, big difference. Now you just push it into your phone and GPS and put it on your little cradle on the windshield, and a voice tells you, turn by turn directions. I'm not complaining. That's pretty cool too. So, yeah, a lot of changes, just, from getting older. And which leads me into the last segment here, which is long drives. And I've seen so many crazy things, so many good things and not so good things. If you get on, let's say, a good long highway, and by railroad, I think the longest drives I've made are probably from home, which is South Texas, all the way to Chicago, Illinois. That's a 2-day trip. I can't make it in one day. So, but most of my drives, on average, are going to be between 6 to 10 hours. And still, I know some of y'all would say, "Wow, man, 6 hours? You crazy?" So yeah. That's about the average. Right now, I'm driving from Little Rock, Arkansas to home, which is about 13 and a half hours. That's with gas stops and everything. So, if you're going out on the open interstate, let's say from San Antonio to El Paso, 85 miles an hour, man. And it's just like wide open road, stand on it, punch it. No issues whatsoever. Beautiful country too. Then you get around, let's say, San Antonio to Dallas on I-35. Boy, you better have your head on a swivel, because that construction will sneak up on you. Traffic will just stop on a dime, and you have no idea why. All of a sudden it starts going 65 miles an hour again from a dead stop. You're like, what happened? You don't know. So yeah, it just kind of depends, man. I've seen a lot of crazy things. I've seen people driving on my side of the highway going against just driving on the wrong side of the road. I've seen people just go off the road and flip 500 times. I think probably the one thing that I would say, out of all the crazy stuff I've seen driving long distances, the one thing that just kind of irks me the most is when the speed limit, let's say, is 75, here in Texas, 75 most times, and you'll see somebody in the fast lane doing speed limit with about 10 cars behind them, and they won't move into the slow lane. That just like, wow, man, for real? Get out of the way. And I would say probably the second thing, and that's more funny than anything, but not really funny, but sort of, is when I'm in the slow lane, say I'm pulling the trailer. Now, I got this big 35-foot trailer behind me that I'm pulling, plus I got a big 1-ton truck, and people are coming up on the up-ramp. They're not even looking. I don't know what it is here, like since COVID, that people just think they're entitled to get up, and everybody has to move out of their way. Now, I don't mind moving, and letting people, I'm trying to be a courteous driver, but, when I'm pulling the trailer, guys, I can't just, weave in and out. I need your help or their help, and pay attention. You can't just come on up, and then I got to start honking my horn. I've had more than a couple of people, that'll have to stay up on the shoulder, and they'll kind of go off in the grass, and like, sorry guys, I got nowhere to go, man. I got traffic on this side of me, traffic in front of me, behind me, and I'm pulling this trailer, and you don't want to pay attention. So, yeah, a lot of crazy things on the road, a lot of fun things too, you know. And I'm super excited that probably starting the next time I go back to work, if not for sure the following, where my wife is now retired from the school system. So she's going to hopefully be traveling up with me and, you know, while I'm at work. And we'll bring Leia with us, our German Shepherd. Maybe Rocky, our Chihuahua. So we'll see. Yeah, it's going to be a little taste of home, you know, but I'll be at work. So I'm really excited for that. Unfortunately, guys, you know, we'll talk about a little bit more about this last thing here in the next video, but I'm headed home a few days early. Unfortunately, yesterday, my mother-in-law passed away. So this is kind of, you know, I don't really think it's kind of fully hit me yet, but that's why I'm driving home. I got to go and be with my wife, and we're gonna, you know, try to just get everything set up, and you know, the stuff you got to do for a funeral. So you just never know, guys, when it's going to be your turn, when God calls you home. So definitely give your loved ones a little extra hug, and but we'll talk more about it here in the next video. I don't want to get too much into that. All right, guys, well, I'm about 30 minutes from home, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here. Been long enough, and we'll see you on the next one. Until then, guys, be good, and thanks for sticking around. Orale!